Welcome back, everyone, to the Montgomery County Council. We are now sitting as the District Council for the next item, which is action on the City of Rockville's annexation request. Is Councilmember Reamer with us? If he's delayed, I could call on Senior Legislative Director Bob Drummer or Analyst Livu Indu.
Good afternoon, council members.
Good afternoon.
You want me to go ahead and proceed?
Please.
Okay, so the work session for this was last week, but as a quick refresh, the City of Rockville is proposing to annex approximately 12 acres of land from the county to the city. It's about 10 acres of private land that used to be the King Buick Automotive Sales Center, and then 1.7 acres along the Maryland 355 right-of-way. The current zoning is general retail, which allows retail, commercial, and residential. And the petitioner is requesting that we use that it be rezoned to the City of Rockville's mixed-use corridor district, so MXCD. It is a different zone, so the council does have to expressly approve this annexation. But despite some of the differences between the zones, council staff, as well as planning board, and as well as the Fed committee, all recommended that the changes in the two different zones are minor enough that there isn't a reason to veto the annexation, which would be the second option, which basically says the county does not approve of this and it just delays it for 5 years. And again, it was part of this was actually reviewed as part of the Shady Grove Sector Plan Minor Master Plan Amendment, which the council adopted 2 weeks ago on April 6th.
Perfect, thank you. Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I did touch on this last week when it was brought up. I think all of us should be very supportive of this. This is a logical continuation for the City of Rockville. It would be to the county's benefit to have it happen this way, and it would be to the City of Rockville's benefit to have it happen as well. So I am most supportive, and though if it required a motion, I would certainly make it. But I guess in this case, there was a committee recommendation.
There is a committee recommendation. I think we heard a ringing endorsement from the district council member. Is all those in favor of the annexation, please raise your hand. And that is unanimous among those present.
Aye.
And Craig is here too.
Including Councilmember Rice.
And Councilmember Rice.
Oh, I'm so sorry to step in 1 second. I forgot there were the 3 conditions recommended by planning. Those are part of the resolution. So I just want to make sure that that's part of the vote as well.
Understood. Okay, everybody sticks with their vote. Okay, great. Now we can begin legislative session day 10. Item 8 is introduction of 2 bills. First, we have the expedited bill 1421, Finance, Working Families Income Supplement Amendments. Lead sponsor, Council members Albornoz, Navarro, and Katz. Co-sponsors, Council members Hucker, Friedson, Rice, and Glass. A public hearing is scheduled for May 11th, 21 at 1:30 p.m. And we're introducing Bill 1521, Solicitation of Vehicle Occupants in High-Speed Roadways Permit Requirements. Lead sponsor, Council member Rice. Any requests to speak on these? If not, Council member Rice.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Just very quickly, we've been down this road a couple times before, but this is a new iteration. And one of the things that I just wanted to highlight is that, again, this is for all of our folks who stand in medians, not just our homeless population, not just those who are sign waving, not just those who are soliciting for whatever sorts of charities are out there. We, through our Vision Zero plan, have understood how risky it is to be in our roadways. Approximately 40% of pedestrians die when struck by a vehicle that travels at 30 miles per hour. 80% die when struck by a vehicle traveling at 40 miles an hour. We've had deaths, unfortunately, of folks in our roadways, one in my district and another in Councilmember Navarro's district. Richard Lee Cooper on a median was fatally struck by an out-of-control SUV in June of 2017. And Mary Josephine Fish was killed on the median in May of 13 in Wheaton. What this would do is actually just require that for any high-speed roadway that's over 25 miles per hour, that a person would have to get a permit that would ensure that they've gone through some safety instructions on how to keep themselves safe and keep themselves out of harm's way. Our Department of Health and Human Services would actually act as the issuing agency. Permit applications would be available in a multitude of places, including at our homeless shelters. Educational materials that identify the risks of roadside solicitation and providing safety rules would be provided with a permit. What this is doing is it's saying that if people are going to put themselves in harm's way, that at least we give them the tools necessary to try and keep them safe. We do it when it comes to construction workers that are working on the side of the road. We give them yellow vests and we tell them what the proper procedures are. We do it when it comes to people that are actually working with our Department of Corrections and picking up trash along the highway or along our roadsides. And we give them bright yellow vests and tell them about the proper procedures. And we have people looking out to make sure that they remain safe. And we should do the same when it comes to anyone else who's in our meetings. Nobody should be treated any less because of the fact that they may be homeless or soliciting for any type of charity or whatever the case may be. And so from that perspective, I think that this is a good way in which we approach our Vision Zero goals and also protect our residents. I really want to thank our Montgomery County Coalition for the Homeless, namely Susie Sinclair Smith, who helped us, as well as Christine Willens, who really helped us to brainstorm how best to try and achieve safety for all of our residents here in the county. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And Council Vice President Albornoz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just very quickly, I want to thank all of my colleagues who served as lead and co-sponsors of Expedited Bill 1421, Working Families Income Supplement Amendments. This is a technical amendment, but a very important one that will ensure that all county residents, regardless of their immigration status, have the ability to access programs and services that are certainly intended for them to receive. As we know, every member of our community contributes economically, culturally, and now more than ever, it's important for us as an entire community to support every member of our community. So I look forward to the public hearing on this issue, but this is another example of Montgomery County showing our values as a community, that we are a welcoming community to everyone, and that when we all succeed, we all succeed.
Terrific. Councilmember Novato.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Council Vice President Albornoz and everyone who has sponsored this particular bill. I also want to thank our Maryland state delegation, our members of the General Assembly, who, especially Montgomery County members who worked so hard to pass this. It has been said time and time again that this is a program that has been shown to really, really, truly address the issues of poverty. We do a lot, but this is one of those that we know has a very extraordinary impact, as research has shown. But we also know that there are so many families who don't get to access this very important type of support, especially now with COVID-19. You know, we need to brace ourselves to post-COVID-19 recovery and the real impact that this has had, not just in the most vulnerable, but folks who perhaps before didn't even have to access a lot of supports. So I'm very pleased. I think this session in Annapolis has yielded some extraordinary, in my opinion, paradigm shifting type of legislation. And this is one particular one that I'm really proud that they were able to get through, and really proud of the fact that we're moving forward here as well. Thank you.
Agreed. Okay, Councilmember Reamer.
Thank you. Wanted to express appreciation for this legislation. I think my office missed the email. I apologize about the invitation to co-sponsor. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor, and I'm really excited about this. I was actually going to draft legislation working with some of the food security groups about extending the EITC to those with taxpayer identification numbers rather than social security cards. But obviously we needed the state to come through and make it law. As my colleagues know, years ago, I led a big battle to raise the county's match for the EITC to 100%. It had been cut during the recession, and I worked really hard with council members to restore that to 100%, and it's holding true today. I'm really pleased to see how it is applied yet, and I thank the executive for including that with the benefit of the federal funds that came and making sure that we were fully funding that, because it would have been a heavy lift otherwise. But in any event, I think it's a huge step forward, and I'm really pleased. And sorry my staff missed the email. It happens sometimes, but thanks to the sponsors.
Agreed. Yes, I think we're all grateful to Delegate Lutke and everybody who worked on this at the state level, and also agree with the thanks to the county executive. You really led the fight on this years ago, and I asked the county executive to get this in the budget. I'm really glad we were able to build on what the state has done. Our residents, we have a whole lot of residents that are really going to benefit from this. I think 68,000. Councilmember Jawando.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I also don't feel too bad, Mr. Reamer. I think we missed the memo too, so I'd also like to be added as a co-sponsor. And a lot going on. This is so important, particularly for our low-income families and our residents of color, all of our residents. And one of the things I love about Montgomery County is that when we talk about the people in Montgomery County, we say residents. We don't just say citizens. We don't count out a certain type of people or certain location. We talk about everyone that we represent. And this is so big kudos to council members Navarro and Albernaz and all my colleagues, Hucker, and the entire council, the people who led on this, and really happy about Annapolis. When you reduce someone's personal tax liability, with income inequality being such a big issue, you put more money in their pockets. That's more for food and transportation and childcare and all the things that we know people are struggling with. So this is a big deal. And now we just need to make sure we get the word out, which is always a struggle, making sure people know how to take advantage of it. So really excited and appreciate my colleagues and would love to be added as co-sponsor. Thank you.
Absolutely. All our residents who pay taxes deserve to benefit from this. Okay, I don't see any other requests to speak, so those bills are introduced. Now we have the call of bills for final reading. The council will now vote on the Housing Justice Act, which is an important piece of legislation that will help mitigate housing discrimination. Let me turn it over to Councilmember Glass.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And the Housing Justice Act has been a year-long endeavor, and I've been so pleased to work and have co-led it with Councilmember Katz. And the timing of this, I think, is perfect in that over in Annapolis, members of the General Assembly have just passed some of the most monumental criminal justice reforms in the nation. And while they've been doing that work over there, we still have more work to do here in Rockville, but I'm proud that this legislation will ensure that access to housing is more fair, just, and equitable. And the reality is that the Housing Justice Act essentially bans the box for what is known as survival crimes. They're victimless crimes, essentially, because nobody should be denied access to housing because they couldn't afford to pay a traffic ticket. And no one should be denied housing because they didn't have access to a bathroom while they were experiencing homelessness. And yes, these are actual examples of what is happening in the community. And individuals who were formerly homeless and those who've served their time need housing just like everybody else, because the reality here is that Black residents are 4 times more likely to experience homelessness, and they are disproportionately overrepresented among individuals exiting the criminal justice system. And we originally thought of calling this piece of legislation the Second Chance Act, but the reality is that there are so many barriers that have been erected over the years for housing based on systemic racism that some individuals never had a first chance to begin with. And the discriminatory history of redlining and housing segregation have really led to generational effects on communities of color and perpetuated cycles of poverty. So to simply state it, the Housing Justice Act is to ensure that housing is a basic human right, and it will help more individuals get access to housing by strengthening our anti-discrimination laws. And I just want to thank Council members Jawando and Rice and Navarro and Reamer for co-sponsoring this legislation. And special thanks also to the advocates who worked tirelessly to really explain the real impact that this legislation will provide. Namely Christine Hong and Courtney Hall from Interfaith Works and Susie Sinclair Smith from the Montgomery County Coalition for the Homeless. I also do again want to thank my co-lead Councilmember Katz, and then internally within here at the council want to thank Christine Wellens and Mary Guys from Councilmember Katz's office. And last but certainly not least, want to thank my Chief of Staff, Valeria Carranza, for her incredible work researching this legislation, looking at national housing best practices to make sure that we are leaders in this effort, and for her countless hours engaging the community on all sides of this issue. So thank you all to my colleagues and staff, and Mr. President, I yield back.
Thank you for all your leadership and hard work on this. I thought I was a co-sponsor as well. So anyway, I'd like to be. But thanks so much. This is a really important piece of legislation. Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I was going to walk through the packet, and of course it was a joint committee meeting between Public Safety and Fed. So, and of course, Councilmember Glass did such a good job. I don't know that we actually have to walk through the packet. I'll ask Councilmember Reamer after I speak for a few moments. But I did want to sincerely thank Councilmember Glass for really being I will say the driving force on this. And yes, I am very proud that I was involved with it as well. But he truly was the driving force. But we cannot say that we have driving forces without actually thanking our personal staff as well as all of our staffs on central staff. I mean, I want to thank Mary and Valeria and everybody from both of our staffs for working on this, because there were as much as we knew this was the right thing to do, at times it became a little bit more involved than we thought. The Housing Justice Act is going to reduce bias against homeless and justice-involved individuals in the rental housing market. And, you know, it sounds awfully simplistic, but if we want to end homelessness, we have to find a home for people. And that's what this will help do. It ensures clarity and transparency of rental application requirements and prohibiting inquiry into making housing decisions based upon low-level survival crimes, as Councilmember Glass so eloquently just spoke about. But Montgomery County residents existing homelessness, disproportionately people of color, often face discriminatory housing practices rooted in systemic racism. The Housing Justice Act strengthens the county's anti-discrimination laws, providing residents with increased access to stable housing, which is often the first step on a path towards a successful, fulfilling life. And again, I want to thank Councilmember Glass, my colleagues on the Public Safety Committee, the Fed Committee, council staff, and really so many public and private stakeholders who contributed to the enactment of this important legislation. What we're doing today is really, it's legislation that says you have to do the right thing. And that's all this boils down to. So with that, I will turn it back. With your indulgence, Mr. President, I'll ask Councilmember Reamer if he has anything to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Reamer.
Thanks. Glad to support this bill. Appreciate the work of the sponsors and especially Councilmember Glass to bring it to us. And we worked through it at a couple of joint committee sessions. And I think we addressed a couple of challenging questions that were, implicated in the legislation. And we arrived at, I think, some refinements that are helpful and ensure safety for tenants in housing, as well as, while not jeopardizing the important mission of fairness and access. So, with that additional, handwork there, I think we packaged up a good bill and pleased to recommend it to the full council.
Thank you. Councilmember Jawanda.
Thank you. I just want to briefly congratulate and thank Councilmember Glass and Councilmember Katz for their leadership on this. It's a really important piece of legislation that when you think about, people that are returning citizens or returning residents and what they need to get on and stay on their feet and contribute to society and to reduce recidivism. This is a bill that tackles two big problems: that the high rate of housing instability and homelessness among people who are returning from incarceration, but also the discrimination that we see to one of the main barriers to getting back up on your feet. This council, with everyone's support, passed an update to the ban the box legislation for employment. And if you're going to get back on your feet, and I was proud to lead that legislation, that update, which is an update on legislation that the previous councils had put in place. And you have to be able to find a job, and you have to be able to have somewhere to live. And there's other supports you need too, but those are the top two. And so really appreciate Councilmember Glass pushing this forward. Happy to co-sponsor and to work on it and fed it. And we dealt with some serious issues in the joint committees, and really glad that we came out with a bill that will move things forward in a significant way and help our returning residents get back on their feet and reduce homelessness at the same time. An issue we still have to work on in this population, obviously overrepresentation with Black families, Black males in particular. This is a piece of that puzzle. We still got more to do, but it's a really important piece. So congratulations, and proud to support it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. So we have a committee recommendation before us. And the clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Glass.
Yes.
Mr. Glass votes yes. Mr. Jawando.
Yes.
Mr. Jawando votes yes. Mr. Reamer.
Yes.
Mr. Reamer votes yes. Mr. Katz.
Yes.
Mr. Katz votes yes. Ms. Navarro.
Yes.
Ms. Navarro votes yes. Mr. Rice.
Yes.
Mr. Rice votes yes. Mr. Friedson.
Yes.
Mr. Friedson votes yes. Mr. Albornoz.
Yes.
Mr. Albornoz votes yes. Mr. Hucker.
Yes.
Mr. Hucker votes yes.
Terrific. The bill passes. Congratulations. And next, I'll just call on Councilmember Reamer, who has a housekeeping request on item 7.
I would like to be added. I'm sorry, I was sitting in the closed session wondering where everyone was. I'd like to be added as supporting the annexation vote, voting affirmatively on that annexation. Thank you very much.
As would I, please.
The question is, did you prevail in the debate in the closed session?
I couldn't win the argument. I'm sorry.
He's not allowed
that around here. I don't know.
No problem. Okay.
You know what the other side was going to say, right? You were talking to yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you, colleagues. Now I'm going to turn it over to Legislative Attorney Ludine McCartney-Green so we can get to the highly controversial bill, Expedited Bill 821, Administration Department of Technology Services renamed.
Thank you, Council President Hucker. I'm hoping it's not going to be controversial, but this bill was introduced on February 23rd of this year, and we had a public hearing on March 16th. At that time, there was no opposition to the bill, and we had one testimony from the Director of Technology Services, Mrs. Gail Roper, who I've invited today to answer any questions that the Council may have. But essentially, what this is doing is technical in the actual code, but from a perspective of the department, they are expanding and modernizing their process and moving from a transition of service request orientation to more of a consultative role. And with that being said, re-engineering outdated processes, making things more innovative and supporting technology solutions for the community, for businesses, and for taxpayers. So with that, I'm going to stop there and ask the Council President if you'd like. Ms. Gail Roper's here to also support or amplify anything else that the Council may want to hear.
Okay, welcome, Director Roper. Let me call on the chair of the Powerful Government Operations Committee.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I don't have much to say, Ms. Roper. I know we'll be able to explain the thinking behind this, that we did have very short conversation in the GO committee. And, I know my members of the committee had felt that this was really appropriate, and want to thank Ms. Roper for a lot of the different elements and the different direction, and really how she is looking at the department as one that can play also a pivotal role in innovation, really work, plays into also economic development, issues of equity. It's just a lot more robust undertaking that how I was envisioned before. So I know it's a very simple bill, but I think what's the impetus behind it, it's something that I know in the GO committee, we've welcomed that shift in direction. Thank you. Ms. Roper.
Ms. Roper, anything to add?
Just thank you for your support, and to know that this is definitely a cultural shift for the organization that I believe will benefit our residents and the operation of the county as we begin to move towards more innovative practices and being able to re-engineer some of our legacy systems that need to go away.
Terrific. Thank you very much for your good work. Come by more often. Okay, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Glass?
Council President, before we begin, want to make sure that we have a motion because this did not go to committee.
I beg your pardon. It didn't.
So moved.
Councilmember Navarro moves. Councilmember Katz seconds. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Glass?
Yes.
Mr. Glass votes yes. Mr. Jawando?
Yes.
Mr. Jawando votes yes. Mr. Reamer?
Yes.
Mr. Reamer votes yes. Mr. Katz?
Yes.
Mr. Katz votes yes. Ms. Navarro?
Yes.
Ms. Navarro votes yes. Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Rice votes yes. Mr. Friedson?
Yes.
Mr. Friedson votes yes. Mr. Albornoz?
Yes.
Mr. Albornoz votes yes. Mr. Hucker?
Yes.
Mr. Hucker votes yes.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. The expedited bill is approved. Thank you, Ms. Roper.
Thank you.
And Louis Dean, you passed the test. It was just a test from Councilmember Hucker.
Yes. Yes. Give you a layup for your first bill, if it was your first bill. Okay. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for your help. I now propose a closed session to consider matters to concern a proposal for a business or industrial organization to locate in the state pursuant to Maryland Code General Provisions Article 3305B4. The topic is locating a pandemic center in the county. Can I get a motion to open the closed session, please?
So moved.
Councilmember Reamer moves, Councilmember Friedson seconds. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Okay, I'll see you in closed session. Thank you, colleagues.